Hi viewers, and welcome back to the reading of The Queen of Bones. Today we are going to begin chapter 2, which is called... Okay, chapter 2, Heading West. The fallout shelter always feels like a safe zone, even though we're out of fuel oil and the air conditioner doesn't work. That means we can only come here at night. If we try to use it during the day and the sun throb strikes, we'd be boiled alive like lobsters in a kettle. The battery-less flashlights with hand cranks are all we have for light down here. They are inconvenient because the beam weakens and dies within minutes, requiring hand cranking again. I don't know what we do without them though. I haven't seen a charged battery in months. The rows and stacks of groceries and supplies that we have lived on for the past 2 years seem almost depleted tonight. Even if the fuel oil supply lasted, we'd have to leave when the supplies are gone. What is left will last longer now since we're down from 8 to 2. Only 2 of us left. The main thing is the food cans. Chili, beef hash, canned spaghetti, ravioli, you name it. Rows and stacks of cans, looking only a little dustier on top than the day Dad and the 8 of us pilfered them from the Safe Pay store at the beginning of the panic. While our neighbors, those who had survived, were running around in circles praying for the first deadly sun throb to be the last one and waiting for the rescuers who never came, we jumped into the family SUV and headed for Safe Pay. I remember sun-scorched bodies lying everywhere. We even ran over some to get all around the abandoned cars. The place was in an uproar like everywhere else, but we were the first looters. We made many trips, stowing the supplies in the old fallout shelter on our rental property. This is where we took refuge during the sun throb, Dad's idea. God bless our fallout shelter home. None of us would have made it through the panic without it. Dad used to tell us with tears in his eyes how close he had come to demolishing this old relic from the Cold War. I stopped packing supplies in the backpacks for a moment. I'm thinking of Mom again. Tears come to my eyes. I can't help it. Mom didn't make it through the first year. She got caught outside by a sun throb. We found her crouched beneath a dying fir tree, her skin baked and split open and her jaws distended with that suffocating look I've seen too many times. I knew the sun throb was coming, of course. I always know when they're coming. 2 hours before, in fact. The tingling in my aching rheumatoid arthritis-ridden bones tell me. We searched everywhere we could think of. We even risked calling the degenerates to us by shouting her name. So the sun was shimmering, and the heat was scouring our skin when we gave up the search and fled to Pine Lake. That was the first time anyone besides me was saved from a sun throb by using my snorkel rods underwater to stay cool. All 7 of us survived. It was after we emerged from the lake and resumed our search that we found Mom. Get a move on, turtle whore, Lizzie says in her always over-loud voice. She's clung to that term, turtle whore, to remind me of my disability had cost Jeff his life. I let it go, but the time will come when I blast her with the truth. Let's see, I say, taking stock. Our flashlight beams roamed up and down the depleted stacks of food. All those boxes of dry macaroni and cheese are of no value. We can't make a fire to cook with it, so many wandering robbers around. I direct my beam to some corners where I have hidden my personal belongings. Oh, I say, and walk over to pick up the last box of birth control pills. Have birth control pills will travel, I joked to Lizzie, stuffing the pills into my fanny pack. I also slip in a bottle of 1-a-day vitamins. Who are you gonna fuck, whore, now that you got Jeffy killed? I give her a look. She stands there glowering, pretty in her puffy way and yet ugly in her overbearing rudeness. I know that if we were outside, I would see that her white face is splotched with bellicose red. Such a fucking bitch. But that is Lizzie, always has been and always will be. I could have leveled with her. That the birth control pills are in case I get raped. If you get pregnant, you die. No way to survive in this hellhole world if you're pregnant. If you did manage to give birth, a baby would never survive a sun throb. But I didn't explain because Lizzie should be taking birth control pills too. I don't have enough for her. She'll have to risk it. Instead, I say, Lizzie, that mouth of yours is going to get you killed. Not by me, but someday some fucking degenerate is going to have his way with you. While he's staggering away, zipping up his fly, you're going to say the wrong thing, and he's going to come back and kill you. While he's squeezing your throat closed and you trade anything for just one more breath, it will be too late to think about what I'm telling you. You're the one that's gonna get choked out with that long, skinny neck of yours, she retorts, repeating what Jeff used to say to me. Let's go. The sun's gonna rise, and we got 3 trips to make. We finish filling the backpacks. I go up the spiral stairs, my hips aching at every step. I crack open the hatch and look around. The light of morning is trickling in. The coast is clear. It's going to be 3 trips up and down the Highlands Hill today, carrying supplies to cache number 1 on the parkway, then 2 more trips the 5 miles up the parkway to cache number 2 near the house where Jeff was killed. We'll probably sleep in the woods somewhere tonight. I'd love the luxury of a bed, but the safest place is hidden in the woods near the lake. We step outside into the early morning light. It's going to be another beautiful sunny day, but there are so many horrors all around that beauty is a mirage. The yards in the abandoned neighborhood are all weed gardens. Much of the overgrown vegetation, the grass, and the bushes is gray and dead. The sunthrops have devastated the vegetable world almost to the extent they have destroyed the animal and bird life. This neighborhood is part of the Pacific Northwest rainforest. Here, as everyone else, the top story of leaves and conifer needles is brown and dead, or the branches are bare. The lower stories are an unhealthy olive green and barely clinging to life. I love trees, even those half-scorched trees, but their old emerald green beauty is mostly gone. There are dead skeletons of trees and bushes every direction you look. Sun, I'm thinking, you used to be my friend. Now look what you've done. There is always that slight rancid stink in the air. It's the stench of dead, rotting carcasses just on the threshold of perception. The wandering degenerates do a pretty good job of scouring the landscape and devouring the newly killed animals every sunthrob. Enough of the corpses stay hidden that there's always that subtle smell of corruption, especially in the woods. No dogs, no cats, no birds. I've heard stories about a pack of wild dogs that live in the caves at Cougar Mountain and come out at night to forage, but I haven't seen them. I haven't seen or heard a bird in 2 years. I'm pretty sure they're extinct, which is a fucking shame. I didn't know I loved birds so much until they were all gone. I traded 5 years of my life just to get a pet doggy. Oh Hummel, oh Beergard. My 2 basset hounds did not survive the first sunthrob. I'd have to stop thinking about that. We're trudging through the woods, our backpacks pressing into our flesh, our bones. Mine is much lighter than Lizzie's because of my disability. She resents this and lets me know about it, but no amount of argument will change that or speed up our slow pace. Just another thing she resents about me. She's breathing heavily behind me. Just like everything else about Lizzie, her breathing is loud. I don't know why I love this bitch, but I do. We stick to the heaviest vegetation for concealment. We avoid paths and stay away from roads. Our 5-foot snorkel rods are forever catching on overhead tree limbs, which is annoying. It is much safer to travel at day than at night because the wanderers are scared of being caught by a sunthrob. If it catches you in the open or even in the woods, you'll be broiled and suffocated within minutes. I don't actually know how you die, by overheating or suffocation, but one of them kills you. I prefer overheating myself. Not being able to breathe is the worst way to die for me. Again, the image of Mom pops into my mind. She was still pretty when she met her end. Did she broil? Did she suffocate? Why can't I control my thoughts? As if it's not bad enough trying to survive in this hellhole the world has become, my mind has to keep going over and over the most horrible events of my life. Sometimes I think I would just be better to drop dead. If I could do it quickly and painlessly, most of the time. The ground beneath our feet is dry and crumbly, no flowers, of course, just grass and shrubs, some olive green, some gray, some brown, some black, and the horsetails. The horsetails look just the same as if the apocalypse didn't bother them at all. We have to walk around tree trunks and limbs that have fallen. There's so many dead trees that our woodland route is an obstacle course. The sidestepping and moving laterally plays havoc with my hips and drains my energy. It's kind of a shame that all the bikes disappeared during the fury and riots of the panic. The only bikes you see now lie abandoned in the wilderness with broken chains, bent wheel rims, and slit tires. This journey would be so much quicker on a bike. On the other hand, my arthritic condition makes riding a bike a huge challenge for me. Bikes would just give the predators one more advantage over me, so it's probably best that they're not available. We pass the backs of vacant houses, some with broken windows, some with glass intact. Whenever you see houses, any degenerates who reside in the house can see us. Mostly they sleep during the day. There really aren't all that many of them skulking around compared to the first year after the panic. The sunthrobs are killing them off. Humans, like the birds, the cats, and the doggies, are going extinct. Humans are more resourceful and can find ways to survive better than the lower animals. The interesting thing is that I've invented a way that all people can survive the sunthrobs. It's easy, really. But I don't want the fucking degenerates to survive. The degenerates killed my dad. In fact, they killed 4 out of the 8 of us. Fuck them. May they roast in hell. Except they don't have to wait for hell. The sun throbs will take care of that. I stepped on something that twists my ankle. I almost go down. It doesn't take much to put me down. I glance around. My foot has turned on a skull protruding from the dried detritus. Why you gotta put weird words in there, huh? My foot has turned on a skull protruding from the dry detritus where God damn it, dry ground, okay? There's another one and a bunch of tangled human bones. Either a group of wanderers caught in a sun throb or the rest of some sort of attack on travelers like us by degenerates that left a bunch of people dead. I guess it doesn't matter much to me. I didn't know them. I'm beginning to see splashes of blue through the trees, lakes and Mamish. I always feel better, more secure, close to the lake. I can use the lake to get away from degenerates like I did yesterday, and the lake is my protection during sun throbs. I may be the only person in the world who's not afraid of sun throbs. Lizzie is muttering something. These walks scare the hell out of her, especially without a man to protect her. It's good that she's scared because her bullhorn voice could wake even a dead degenerate. A scared Lizzie is a quiet Lizzie. Sarah, she whispers from behind me. I've never seen you cry for Jeffy. He was your fucking boyfriend. He came back to save your ass. He died to save you. And he wouldn't have needed to if you weren't such a slow turtle whore. She stops, waiting for my response, but I don't respond. I keep walking. He was my brother, and now he's gone. My whole family's gone, and you don't even give a fuck. Even when you came back from the lake, I saw him lying there dead for you. You didn't cry. You didn't care even. I glance back behind me and see tears coursing down Lizzie's face. I feel a momentary pang for her, but I'm not going to lie to her. Answer me. Shh, I hiss. Do you want some degenerate to wake up and come out of here and make you join him? You killed him. You killed him, fucking bitch. Once again, I'm tempted to answer her with the truth, but I don't. She's hurting enough. She doesn't need to hear what I would love to say in response, but I say it to myself. 2 years ago, right after the panic, Jeff raped me. I never forgave him for that, and I never loved him. But there was no one else, no other choice. What Jeff meant to me was protection, a voice reminding me that I'm not alone, and 2 or 3 hard fucks a week, and that's about it. He tormented me emotionally and liked to hurt me physically. Yes, he came back for me. It was a brave and decent thing to do. But be heartbroken for his loss? No, and I didn't kill him, Lizzie. You did. Your careless fat white ass led the degenerates to our house. That's how they found us. I think this, but I don't say it. The day is miserable and full of work from dawn to dusk. Back and forth between the fallout shelter and cache number 1 we go. Back and forth between cache number 1 and cache number 2, slowly bringing our supplies westward for the journey to Seattle. Toward the end of the day, my hips are just killing me. I can hardly walk. We've made good progress. We've moved our base 7 miles toward the goal. I hope there is that society in Seattle that Dad spoke about, that group that is trying to reestablish some sort of civilization from the barbarity the world has fallen to. Because if there isn't, if there's nothing there but more death and humanity, then what is the purpose of even going on living? Cache number 2 is closed and buried, and Lizzie and I are walking along the lakefront with cans of chili for our evening meal. I wish I had several choice books from my collection to read by the lake after our meal. I was a voracious reader growing up. While my friends participated in all sorts of activities that I couldn't because of my disability, I read. The sun is setting magnificently over the lake. The air is chilly and invigorating. Lizzie spots a log up ahead and speeds up to sit down there and feast on her cold chili. It's a beautiful prospect in this dying world. The lake is smooth as a mirror. The half-dead trees are touched with a warm orange tint by the setting sun. Lizzie has lightened up as we approach the end of the day and even cracked a couple of jokes. Then, in the middle of this peaceful, uplifting moment, everything is shattered. 2 rough, shaggy shapes emerge from the bushes and confront Lizzie. 2 degenerates with filthy, ripped clothing, mangy beards, one brown, the other black, and unusually scorched skin that looks seamed and scabrous, like the skin of a leper. They stop for a moment, leering at her. "What are you holding, my pretty friend?" says the dark-haired one, pointing at her can of chili. "Looks like supper. My supper." I'm watching from 20 feet behind, my heart in my throat. "Just hand it over, Lizzie, hand it over and walk away, then we'll run to the lake and use our snorkel rods," I silently implore. They haven't touched her. There is a way out of this if Lizzie keeps her cool. One look at Lizzie shows me she is not keeping her cool. Her face has that flushed, splotchy look that precedes her rage. "Fuck you, you stinking, scorched degenerate," she yells at him. "You and your friends killed my brother yesterday. I'll tear out your fucking eyes." She flings her can of chili in his face. He goes down briefly with a curse, but is quickly up, wiping blood from his forehead. "You scum-sucking fucker," she screams at the top of her voice, and then she rushes forward and starts slapping at him with her hands. They haven't seen me. I could easily back up a few steps for greater concealment behind the bushes and then run to the lake with my snorkel rod. But that's not an option. If we're going to go together. I rush forward. "Stop," I say. "Quiet, please, Lizzie. We can settle this." A tremendous blow lands on the side of my face. I never see it coming. It must have been a hard punch from the degenerate with the brown beard. I don't even see stars. I'm out like a light. I wake up with a spastic jerk. I'm lying half concealed in the middle of a thorny shrub. It is dawn. The pinkish light of the new day illuminates my surroundings. The left side of my face aches. It's excruciating. My probing hand finds the area around my cheekbone swollen and painful to touch. My neck hurts too. When I try to move, I shriek with pain. Slowly, very slowly, I drag myself out of the thorn bush. I see Lizzie lying on her side. Her eyes are open, watching me. At first, I think she has an amused expression, but then, even before I notice the distended eyes, the lolling tongue, the bluish skin, and the bruises around her throat, I see the vacant expression, the unmistakable death stare in her eyes. "Oh, Lizzie, darling," I gasped, almost forgetting my own pain as I crawl forward and embracing her. "Oh, Lizzie, why couldn't you have just this once shut the fuck up?" I see that she had not been raped or molested. They strangled her to silence her. It came down just the way I predicted yesterday morning. I put my arms around my darling Lizzie, and this time I cry my eyes out. Her body is cold and stiff with rigor mortis, but it doesn't matter. I hug and hug her and just keep sobbing. Beneath her hair-triggered temper beat a heart of gold. Her death was so useless. It suddenly dawns on me in my grief that I'm totally alone in this world. And that concludes chapter number 2. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you soon with chapter 3.